calls for invoking the 25th Amendment and removing Donald Trump from office have reached a fever pitch over the past few weeks.
The 25th Amendment should be used to remove Trump from power.
But that also calls into question the 25th Amendment.
He's actually mentioned the 25th Amendment.
Are you going to invoke the 25th Amendment?
On the issue of the 25th Amendment,
renewed calls for the 25th Amendment in Congress and throughout our politics.
This is why the 25th Amendment was written. It was ratified in 1967, authorizing the vice president and a majority of the cabinet to remove the president from power when and if that president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office.
Unless Trump has a stroke or some other incapacitating health crisis, I don't think the 25th Amendment is going to be invoked. You'll see why I think that when you understand how the 25th Amendment works. Vice President J.D. Vance and a majority of the cabinet will need to deliver a letter to Congress declaring that Trump is unable to discharge the powers and duties of the office. At that point, when the letter is delivered, J.D. Vance will immediately become acting president. If Trump then sends a letter to Congress claiming that he's fine and no disability exists, Trump would immediately become president again. Then, within 4 days, J.D. Vance and the cabinet will have to send a second letter to Congress restating that Trump is unable to be president. J.D. Vance will then become acting president again, and at that point, it will be up to Congress to decide if Trump should be removed from office permanently. Congress must assemble within 48 hours and will have up to 21 days to deliberate and vote. It will require a 2/3 majority in the House and a 2/3 majority in the Senate. As a comparison, impeaching Trump in the House of Representatives only requires a simple majority of greater than 50%. Then, a 2/3 majority of the Senate would have to vote to convict and remove Trump from office. It's far easier to remove a president from office by impeachment and conviction than it is to invoke the 25th Amendment. There's one note here. You may have seen this past week Jamie Raskin's bill establishing a congressional commission on presidential capacity. Here's Jamie Raskin to explain.
What America's been talking about is Section 4 of the 25th Amendment, which is the part which says that the vice president and a majority of the cabinet can decide the president is unable to successfully discharge the powers and duties of office. And that could be for medical reasons. It could be for physical, mental, psychological. The president could go missing. Who knows? It could be any number of things. The 25th Amendment also says the vice president can do the same thing with a majority of a body set up by Congress. So it's a way of bypassing the cabinet and saying Congress can set up a body. And I've introduced legislation before, back in 2017 and 2020, which I'm introducing again this week, to set up a permanent, ongoing body that would be there in the event of a problem with this or any other president.
It's a great idea to create this body. However, this is the third time he's introduced this legislation, and even if it passes the House and the Senate, which it won't, Trump certainly won't sign it into law. So for now, invoking the 25th Amendment will still require J.D. Vance and a majority of the cabinet. And no matter how erratic and unhinged we think Trump is acting, his sycophantic bootlicking vice president and cabinet are not going to try it. Trump himself brought up the 25th Amendment a few weeks ago. Here's that clip along with an analysis by constitutional lawyer Robert McWhirter, who thinks Trump is signaling to the cabinet that they better not even think about invoking the 25th.
We've heard from President Trump. He's actually mentioned the 25th Amendment.
In fact, we have other targets we want to hit before we leave. We're hitting them on a daily basis. I don't talk about you. I can't talk about specifics. A lot of people say that wouldn't matter. Maybe it does matter. Who knows? But I wouldn't talk. It's like the question this young lady asked. Sorry about I embarrassed her. I don't want to embarrass you because I think I think she's a friendly reporter, so I'm sorry. But, I can't say what we're going to do because if I did, I wouldn't be sitting here for long. They'd probably, what is it called, the 25th Amendment? They'd institute the 25th Amendment, which they didn't do with Biden, which is shocking.
What do you say as far as the constitutionality goes, as far as what his powers are versus the ones that, again, are in the 25th Amendment and the powers that Congress has?
Well, what I think he's doing there, first of all, the question was, hey, what's your plans with Iran? And the issue that many people have, including the Democrats, is you don't seem to have any clear, consistent message about it. And we're really questioning your mental acuity to even do this whole thing. Well, I think what President Trump is doing there is kind of signaling to his whole cabinet, you want to invoke the 25th Amendment? Well, under the 25th Amendment, it's not going to be easy for you because I'm going to go right back to Congress and fight you on it and put the country in a terrible mess. And by the way, I think there's enough people in the United States Congress and in the Senate that are going to resist that. And you're not going to get the 2/3 vote to take me out of office anyway. So don't even try. I think that's what he's signaling to as he looks over at Pete Hegseth, who's also a member of the cabinet. He's kind of giving him a signal. Don't even go down this path, buddy.
I think
that's how I read what he's doing.
Of course, Trump will signal to the cabinet to not even try. And J.D. Vance and his cabinet are way too fearful of Trump to attempt it. Unless Trump's decision-making becomes substantially more dangerous for the country. And I believe Trump's behavior will get worse, but not for the reasons you think. Let's review. We've all seen his behavior, especially over the past few weeks, his crazy, bizarre, manic overnight posts on Truth Social, threats of genocide and annihilation, attacking the Pope, the Jesus meme, his defense of the Jesus meme, being kicked out of military operational meetings because he was out of control, sleeping at meetings that bore him, contradicting himself, sometimes the same day or even in the same speech, and even asking for the nuclear codes. There are 3 factors contributing to Trump's erratic, dangerous, and impulsive behavior. The first 2 you already know. It's the third one that I'm concerned about. I'll get to that in a moment, but first, I know our viewers like to check facts and question motives, and you should, especially with Medicare. Too many agents push Medicare Advantage plans because the agent makes more money even when it's not the best fit for you. I saw that for years in my own private practice. That's why I partnered with Chapter. They walk you through all of your options, original Medicare, supplemental, Medicare Advantage, and Part D, so you can find the coverage that actually fits your needs. Chapter saves people an average of $1,100 per year. If you're on Medicare or about to be, call 504-613-5925. It's free. It takes less than 20 minutes. And if you're already on the right plan, they'll tell you. If you're not, you could save thousands. Okay, back to the 3 factors contributing to Trump's erratic, dangerous, impulsive behavior. Number 1, he is and has always been a malignant sociopathic narcissist, which means a total lack of empathy, remorseless, ruthless. It's terrible. Number 2, he has some sort of cognitive decline or worsening dementia. Here's Dr. John Gartner on Piers Morgan the other day to explain.
Your view is what about Donald Trump's cognitive current abilities?
Right. The man is not compos mentis. Those who know him well say he wasn't the same man he was 4 years ago. But I believe that he is showing signs of dementia. A lot of doctors are saying that now. Dr. Vin Gupta has been saying it. And the nature of dementia is it doesn't get better. It doesn't stay the same. It gets worse. And the rate of decline accelerates. Now I think he's not the same man he was 4 weeks ago. We're watching his decline in real time accelerate. And it's really quite frightening because the type of dementia that we think he has, frontotemporal dementia, the main component is a lack of inhibition of aggressive behavior, as well as loss of memory and confusion. But because the frontal lobes, which are the brakes in our brain that give us judgment, that hold us back from acting out impulsively, that's the part that's deteriorating. So not only is he losing his capacity to understand and comprehend, but he's losing all internal inhibitions. And that's why he's behaving in this more erratic and actually self-destructive way. I say that humanity is in the most dangerous moment now that's ever happened in human history, because the man who is president is a malignant narcissist who wants to assert his dominance and his grandiosity over the world. And as he's starting to cognitively deteriorate, he's attacking on an impulsive basis, based on the thrill he gets from destruction because he's a malignant narcissist, and based on his confused cognitive picture, so that he's acting on impulse. He's not acting on strategy.
I'd say that's a fairly good review of the dementia concerns shared by many. And then there's the third factor that's contributing to Trump's recent erratic and dangerous behavior. And this is not talked about enough, but pay attention. You're going to be hearing about it a lot more. He's slowly and steadily losing power and losing control of his cult. His approval ratings are now like 32, 33%. He's losing support. He's losing control of the narrative. I believe this is the most dangerous and most acute concern we should all have. It's what's called a narcissistic collapse. Common triggers of a narcissistic collapse are things like public humiliation, rejection, abandonment, loss of status, money, power, exposure of lies, incompetence, or even aging or illness. The resulting behavior of the narcissist will be rage, vengeance, blame, panic, paranoia, desperation, frantic attempts to regain attention and control, acting more erratic and impulsive. This is a destructive psychological reaction in an average narcissist. But because Trump is the leader of the largest political cult in American history and the current president, his narcissistic collapse could be catastrophic. As he loses power and control, there is a very real risk of Trump going scorched earth on his way out. So we have to decide. Are we hoping that Trump's mental and cognitive state gets so bad he makes even more dangerous, reckless, and impulsive decisions? Then 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate will agree to remove him from office by the 25th Amendment? Or are we hoping to get to the midterms this winter and let the House of Representatives hamstring Trump with every move, including a probable impeachment? Or are you hoping for an incapacitating medical crisis, something like a stroke or worse, which would also end the presidency? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe so you can stay up to date on important political topics and our ongoing monitoring of Trump's clinical decline. We need your help to get to 100,000 subscribers. I'd like to offer a very special thank you to our new and existing members. If you're on Blue Sky, come say hi to me over there. I'll see you very soon. Take care.